Hi, welcome to this Corbettmaths video. In this video, we're going to go through the video solutions to the Corbettmaths practice questions on fractions. And in the fractions booklet, there's going to be questions on simplifying fractions, equivalent fractions, fractions of shapes, and expressing as a fraction. If you need any extra help on those fraction topics, if you go to Corbettmaths and go to the videos and worksheet section and scroll down to video numbers 146, 135, 143, and 136, there's dedicated video tutorials there on those fraction topics. Alternatively, you can scan this QR code. But in this video, we're going to focus on the video solutions to the practice questions, so let's get started. Okay, question number one. Question number one says to simplify each of the following. So we've been asked to simplify, in part A, 4/10. So if we want to simplify this fraction 4/10, we want to try and divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number and cancel it down. So as you can see here, 4 and 10 are both divisible by 2. So let's divide both of them by 2. So if we divide both the numerator and denominator by 2, we would get 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So then that would be 2/5. And now 2 and 5, they don't have any common factors apart from 1, and if we divide by 1, we'll just get 2/5 anyway. So that's it, we're done. So 4/10 is the same as 2/5, so 2/5, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next part, part B. Part B, we've been asked to simplify 4/8. Now 4 and 8, they're both divisible by 4, so we can divide both of them by 4. So if we divide the numerator by 4, 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is equal to 2. So 4/8 is the same as 1/2, so that's 1/2. And that's it. Now, in terms of this question 4/8, we could have, instead of dividing both by 4 to begin with, we could have divided both of them by 2. And you may have got, if you divide 4 by 2, you get 2. And if you divide 8 by 2, you get 4. But then both of those numbers, 2 and 4, are both divisible by 2 again. So you just divide by 2 again, and then you would get 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. So again, you get 1/2. So sometimes whenever you simplify fractions, you might get lucky and find the biggest number you can divide them by to begin with. So here we just divided by 4 to begin with, both of them. But here, sometimes you can divide by 2, by 3, and so on, and then you'll get to the same answer eventually. And that's it. So the answer is 1/2. Okay, part C. Part C, we've been asked to simplify 6/15. Now 6 and 15 are both divisible by 3. They're both in the 3 times tables. So if we divide the numerator by 3, 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 15 divided by 3, well, 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that'll be 2/5. So that means that 6/15 is the same as 2/5. Okay, part D. Part D, we've been asked to simplify 15/20. Now 15 and 20, they're both in the 5 times tables. So let's divide both of them by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 15/20, if we cancel it down, we'll get 3/4. And that's it, 3/4. Okay, next, part E. Part E, we've been asked to simplify 20/100. So if we've been asked to cancel down 20/100, you could divide both of them by 20 to begin with, and that would be fantastic if you can spot you can divide both of them by 20 to begin with. If I had 20/100, I probably would just divide by 10 to begin with, because they both end in 0. I know they're both multiples of 10. So 20 divided by 10 is equal to 2, and 100 divided by 10 is equal to 10. So dividing both the numerator and denominator by 10, we get 2/10. Now 2 and 10 are both divisible by 2. They're both even, so we can half them both. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 20/100 is equal to 1/5. If you cancel it down, you get 1/5, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 2. Okay, so question number 2, these are based on equivalent fractions. So we've got 3/4 equals blank over 16. So these are equivalent fractions, so what we want to do is we want to find out what this numerator is. Now remember, whenever we're dealing with equivalent fractions, what we do to the denominator, we must do to the numerator, or what we do to the numerator, we must also do to the denominator. So to get from 4 to 16, we would multiply by 4, because 4 times 4 is equal to 16. So that means we must also multiply this numerator by 4, so we're going to do 3 times 4. And 3 times 4 is equal to 12. So that means that the missing number, this missing numerator, was 12. So that missing number is 12. Okay, let's look at our next part, part B. Part B, we've got blank over 5 is equal to 6 over 15. So to get from 5 to 15, we would multiply by 3. So we'd multiply by 3 to get from 5 to 15. So to get from this number to 6, we'd also multiply by 3. And so what number do we multiply by 3 to get 6? That'll be 2. So that means the missing number was 2. Now, in terms of this question, you may have said, well, to get from 15 to 5, we'd divide by 3. So to get from 6 to the number, we'd also divide by 3. That would be fine as well, and you'd also get 2. Okay, let's look at part C. Part C, we've got 7/8 equals 35 over blank. So we want to find this missing denominator. So to get from 7 to 35, we would multiply by 5 because 7 times 5 is 35. So we need to multiply this denominator by 5 as well. And 8 times 5 is equal to 40. So this missing denominator here would be 40. So that's it, we'll find that number. Okay, let's look at our next one here, part D. So part D, we've got 2 over blank is equal to 16 over 40. So to get from 2 to 16, we would multiply by 8, or let's go the other way. We would divide by 8 to get from 16 to 2. We divide by 8. So we just need to divide the denominator by 8 as well. So 40 divided by 8 is equal to 5. So the missing number there would be 5. Okay, next, part E. So part E, we've got 4/15 is equal to blank over 60. So to get from 15 to 60, you would multiply by 4. So multiply by 4 because 15, 30, 45, 60. So that means we need to multiply the numerator by 4 as well. And 4 times 4 is equal to 16. So that missing numerator is 16. Okay, and part F. Part F, we've got 6/11 equals 66 over blank. Well, to get from 6 to 66, we would multiply by 11 because 6 times 11 is 66. So we need to do 11 times 11 because we need to multiply the denominator by 11 as well. So 11 times 11 is 121. So that missing number is 121. And that's it. So that's it. So we've answered that question on equivalent fractions. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 3. Okay, so let's look at our next question, question number 3. So question number 3 says, here are some fractions, and we've got 2 quarters, 3/7, 5/9, 9/18, and 10/22. And we've been asked to circle the 2 fractions that are equivalent to a half. So 2 of these fractions are equivalent to a half. Now I can spot one of them straight away, 2 quarters. I think we actually looked at that earlier on in the video. We had 2 quarters at one point. If you've got 2 quarters, you can divide both the numerator and denominator by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So that means that 2 quarters is equal to a half. So that fraction is equal to a half. Okay, 3/7. Well, 3/7. Well, apart from 1, 3 and 7 have no other common factors. So that means that can't be cancelled down any further. So 3/7 is already cancelled down. And likewise, 5/9 is already cancelled down as well, because apart from 1, 5 and 9 have no other common factors. So that means that can't be cancelled down any further. So 5/9 is already simplified as well. Okay, I'm actually going to look at this last one, 10/22. So 10/22, 10/22. So both of those numbers are even, so we can divide both of them by 2. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 22 divided by 2 is equal to 11. So 10/22 is equal to 5/11. So it's not that one, it's not that one, and it's not that one. So it should be this one because there's 2 fractions that are equivalent to a half. So let's have a look at 9/18. Now you may start off by considering the fact that they're divisible by 3, but actually I can see they're both divisible by 9 because 9 is in the 9 times tables and 18 is in the 9 times tables. So let's divide both of them by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1 and 18 divided by 9 is 2. So 9/18 is equal to half. So that's equal to half as well. So that's it. So the 2 fractions that are equivalent to half would be 2 quarters and 9/18. And that's it. And also one thing to notice is that these fractions, the denominator is double the numerator. If you double the numerator, you get the denominator. If you double the numerator, you get the denominator. And if you've got a fraction where the denominator is double the numerator, then that'll be equal to half as well. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 4. Okay, so question number 4 says, here's a shape made of 10 squares. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And part A says shade a half of this shape. So we want to shade a half of this shape. So that means that we want to shade a half of the squares. And because there's 10 squares, half of that would be 5. So let's shade in 5 of them. So I'm going to shade in the whole top row. I'm going to shade in that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've shaded in half of the shape. You could have been creative and shaded that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one, and so on. But I've just shaded in the top row there, and that's half of the shape. Now, in terms of my shading here, I've just shaded in the best I can. If I was doing this on a piece of paper, I'd probably get a pencil and shade it in a little bit better than that, but that's fine. Okay, and part B. Part B says simplify 6/8. Now 6/8, both of those numbers are even, so let's divide both of them by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 8 divided by 2 is equal to 4. So that'll be 3 quarters. So 6/8 is equal to 3 quarters. Okay, and then part C. Part C says circle the fractions that are equivalent to 4/5. So here we've got 5 fractions, and there's going to be some of them that are equivalent to 4/5, and we need to figure out which ones. Okay, so let's start off with 6/10. So if we have 6/10, both of those numbers are even. So if we half both of them, we would get 3/5. So that's not 4/5, it's not that one. 12/15. So if we've got 12/15, 12 and 15 are both divisible by 3. 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4, and 15 divided by 3 is equal to 5. So that one's equal to 4/5, so let's circle it. 20 30ths, well 20 30ths, I can see straight away that's going to be 2/3 because both of those numbers are divisible by 10, so that's going to be 20 divided by 10 is equal to 2, and 30 divided by 10 is equal to 3, so that's going to be 2/3, that's not 4/5. 24 25ths. Now 24 and 25, apart from 1, they've got no other common factors because the factors of 25 are 1, 5 and 25, and apart from 1, 24 shares no other factors apart from 1 with 25, so that's already simplified, so it's not that one. And finally 44 55ths. So if we've got 44 over 55, both of those numbers are divisible by 11. You can see they're both in the 11 times tables. 44 divided by 11 is equal to 4, and 55 divided by 11 is equal to 5. So that would be 4/5, so that is an equivalent fraction. So we've circled 12/15 and 44 55ths, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so question number 5. Question number 5, we've got this shape. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides. So it's an octagon. And let's just check. That means you should have 8 triangles inside of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's an octagon. It's got 8 sides. And the question says, what fraction of the shape is shaded? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And altogether there's 6, 7, 8. So 5 out of the 8 are shaded. So 5 are shaded out of the 8 altogether. So 5/8 of that shape is shaded. And that's it. And that fraction can't be cancelled down. If it was 4 out of 8, I probably would cancel it down to be a half. But that's 5/8 and that can't be cancelled down. So what fraction of that shape is shaded? 5/8. And if the question said what fraction of the shape is not shaded, then that would be 1, 2, 3/8. 3 out of the 8. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 6. So question number 6, we've got this triangular grid, and part A says shade 3/4 off the grid. So we want to shade 3/4. There's a few different ways we could do this. One is to count the number of triangles, so let's just count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So the 16 little triangles all together, I'm just going to get rid of that. So the 16 all together, 16, and we want to shade 3/4 of that. So if we want to shade 3/4 of 16, we could work out what 3/4 of 16 is. And to find 3/4 of a number, you divide it by 4 and times it by 3. You divide by the bottom and times by the top. So let's take our 16 and divide it by the bottom. 16 divided by 4 is equal to 4. And then times by the top, 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So we would want to shade 12 little triangles in. So that's one way we could do that question. Another way is we could shade 3 out of every 4. So if we have a look here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles there. So we could shade 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, and leave that one blank. And then here we've got another 4 here. So here there's another 4. So we could shade, and leave it blank. So we've done those 4. Then we've got another 4 here upside down. So we could shade, and leave that one blank. And then finally we've got another 4 here, and we could shade, and leave it blank. So that's one way you could do it, is shade 3 out of every 4. Just make sure you remember which ones you've considered. Or alternatively, we could just count how many there are altogether, which is 16, and work out 3/4 of 16, which is 12. So that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's it. So we've shaded 3/4 of that shape. Okay, and part B says to simplify 8/14. 8 and 14 are both divisible by 2. They're both even, so let's divide both of them by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. And 4 and 7, they've got no other common factors apart from 1, so that's it. We've simplified it as fully as possible, so 4/7. And that's it. We've simplified 8/14. Okay, let's look at our next question. So question number 7, we've got this rectangle and some of it's shaded in, and the question is what fraction of this shape is shaded, and to give our answer in its simplest form. There's a few different ways we can approach this. One way is to count all the little squares and see how many are shaded. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 squares, and 1, 2, 3, 4 shaded, so 4/12 of that shape is shaded. And the question says to give it in its simplest form, so you could cancel it down. They're both even, so you could half them both. So that'll be 2/6, because if you do 4 divided by 2, that's 2, and 12 divided by 2 is 6. And then you could half again, and that'll be 1/3. So 1/3 of that shape is shaded. So the answer is 1/3. Now there is another way to do it, and that's actually to consider the rows. You've got 1, 2, 3 rows, and 1 row out of the 3 rows are shaded. So 1/3 of that shape is shaded. So rather than considering the little squares, you can consider the rows. And it's 1 out of the 3 rows, so 1/3 of it is shaded. If the question said what fraction of the shape is not shaded, then that'll be 2/3. But it doesn't, it says shaded, so the answer is 1/3. Okay, question number 8. Okay, so question number 8, it's read my mind. It says, what fraction of this shape is unshaded? Give your answer in its simplest form. So let's count the number of squares. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that makes sense. We've got 4 rows of 4, so 16 little squares altogether. I'm going to get rid of those just for a wee second. So the 16 altogether. We want to find the fraction that is unshaded. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 out of 16. And then we've been asked to give our answer in its simplest form, so let's cancel that down. They're both even, so let's half them both. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So 3/8 of that shape is unshaded. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 9. Okay, so question number 9 says, Ruben was asked to simplify fully 6/24, and he says the answer is 3/12. And the question says, is Ruben correct? Explain your answer. Okay, so to see if Ruben's correct, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to do the question. I'm going to simplify 6/24. So it's 6 and 24. I can actually see straight away they're both divisible by 6. They're both in the 6 times tables. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just half them both to begin with because they're both even. So 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. And 24 divided by 2 is equal to 12. And that's what Ruben got. But the question says simplify fully. And so that means at 3/12, it's not actually simplified fully because we can actually see that 3 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So let's divide by 3 again. 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1, and 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. So the answer would be 1/4. And if you had actually spotted that both of those numbers were in the 6 times table, 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 24 divided by 6 is 4. So you would have got the answer straight away to be 1/4. So Ruben isn't correct. He's only simplified partially. He's partially simplified, but he hasn't fully simplified. He hasn't divided by 3. He needs to divide both of those numbers by 3 again. And that's it. So I've just written down that Ruben was asked to simplify fully, but he only simplified to 3/12. This can be simplified to 1/4. You can divide both of those by 3 and you'll get 1/4. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 4. So question number 4, we've been asked to write 12 out of 16 as a fraction in its simplest form. So let's write 12 out of 16. So as a fraction, 12 out of 16, so 12/16. Now we want to write it as a fraction in its simplest form. Now both of these numbers are both even, but I can actually see they're both in the 4 times tables. So let's divide by 4 to begin with. 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3, and 16 divided by 4 is equal to 4. So that's 3/4. So the answer would be 3/4, and the 3/4 can't be cancelled down. That's simplified already. 3/4. Okay, so question number 11. Question number 11 says there are 12 girls and 18 boys in a class, and the question says, what fraction of the class are girls? And to give our answer in its simplest form. So we know in the class is 12 girls, and let's find out how many students there are in the class altogether. So let's do 12 plus 18, and 12 plus 18 is equal to 30. So there's 30 students in the class altogether, and the question is what fraction of the class are girls? So it's going to be 12 out of 30, so 12/30. So 12/30 of the class are girls. And this can be cancelled down because it says to give our answer in its simplest form, so let's try to cancel it down. 12 and 30, they're both divisible by 2, they're both divisible by 3, and actually they're both divisible by 6. So let's divide them both by 6. 12 divided by 6 is 2, and 30 divided by 6 is 5. So the answer is 2/5. So what fraction of the class are girls? The answer is 2/5, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 12. Okay, so question number 12 says shade 5/6 of the shape. So we've got this grid and we need to shade in 5/6 of it. Now in terms of this grid, what we can do is we can count the number of squares altogether. So there's 4 in each column, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And we could work out 5/6 of 24. That's one approach, and I'll come back to that in a second. But actually, if it's 5 out of 6, I can actually see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. There's 6 columns, and let's shade in 5 of them. And as you can see, we've shaded in 5/6 of that grid. So that's it, we've shaded in 5/6 of the shape. As I said, also, you could work out what 5/6 of 24 is. And to get 5/6 of 24, we divide by the bottom and times by the top. 24 divided by 6 is 4, and then 4 times 5 is 20. And we've shaded in 20 little squares there, and that's it. And that's it. So we've done that question. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 13. So question number 13, we've got this grid, and the question says what fraction of the grid is shaded, and to give our answer in its simplest form. Okay, so let's count the number of squares altogether. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to find out how many are in each row. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 in each row. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. And 5 times 7, that's 35. So there's 35 little squares. And how many are shaded? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12, 13, 14. So 14, 35ths of that shape is shaded. And that's it. And it says to give our answer in its simplest form. Well, actually, if we have a look at this, 14 and 35. So in terms of common factors, the factors of 14 are 1. Well, that's not going to be any use to us. 2, no. 7, because 2 times 7 is 14. And 35 is 5 times 7. So they're both divisible by 7. So 14 divided by 7 is 2. And 35 divided by 7 is equal to 5. So that means that 2/5 of that shape is shaded. 2/5. So let's write that down, 2/5. And that's it. So 2/5 of that shape is shaded. Okay, let's look at our next question. Okay, so let's have a look at our next question, question number 14. So question number 14 says, explain why 6/8 is equal to 3/4. Well, as you can see here, we've divided both the numerator by 2. That's been divided by 2. And the denominator has been divided by 2 as well. And if we divide both the numerator and denominator by 2, we'll get an equivalent fraction. So they're equal to each other. So let's explain that. And that's how I've just explained that both the numerator and denominator have been divided by 2 to give us an equivalent fraction, which is 3/4. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 15. Okay, so question number 15 says to write down 3 fractions that are equivalent to 3/8. Now we can give any 3 fractions that are equivalent to 3/8. So we could times them both by 10 to get 30 over 80. We could times them both by 100 to get 300 over 800. We could times them both by 1,000 to get 3,000 over 8,000. So using that approach, that would work. We could double them both to get 6 over 16. We could times them both by 3 to get 9 over 24. Now actually, if you notice, if you just keep adding 3 to the numerator and 8 to the denominator, we can get lots of equivalent fractions. Adding another 3 would be 12, and adding another 8 would be 32. Adding another 3 would be 15, adding another 8 would be 40, and so on. So there's lots of different approaches that you could use there. I'm just going to list the first few, so I'm going to write down 6 16ths, 9 24ths, 12 32nds, etc. And that's it. So we've written down lots of fractions that are equivalent to 3/8. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 16. So question number 16, we've been asked to shade 3/7 of this shape. Now, in terms of this shape, we could actually consider how many little squares there are, but actually if we have a look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, and we've been asked to shade 3/7. So let's shade 3 out of the 7 columns. So 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns. So we've shaded in 3/7 of that shape. So sometimes whenever you're doing these shading in ones where you've got to shade in a certain fraction, you can just spot as perhaps the columns or the rows that you're dealing with. Alternatively, you could count the number of little squares, which in this case is 21, and we could work out 3/7 of 21. So we could divide by the bottom. 21 divided by 7 is 3, and then times by the numerator is 9. So because 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So we could just shade in 9 little squares. So that would work as well. So we could just work out what 3/7 of the total number of little squares is, which is 3/7 of 21, divided by the bottom, which is 3, times by the top, which is 9, and then shade in 9 squares. So that would work as well. Okay, so let's have a look at our next question, question number 17. So question number 17 says, some of the fractions below are equivalent. Circle the equivalent fractions. So we've got 1/3, 2/5, 2/6, 3/12, and 5/15. So let's cancel down the ones that we can cancel down. Now 1/3 and 2/5 have already been cancelled down. 2/6, so 2/6. If we simplify this, both the numerator and denominator are divisible by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. So that's 1/3. So this is 1/3. That's great. 3/12. So 3/12. So 3 and 12 are both divisible by 3. So if we divide both the numerator and denominator by 3, well, 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. And 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. So that's 1/4. So we've got 1/3 and 2/6 are equivalent. Let's now try 5/15. So 5/15. Both of those numbers are divisible by 5. 5 and 15 are both in the 5 times tables. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 15 divided by 5 is equal to 3. So that one's equal to 1/3 as well. So that means that we've got 1/3, 2/6, and 5/15. They're all equal to each other. They're all equivalent fractions. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 18. So question number 18 says, Below is a list of fractions, and we've got 50 60ths, 28 36ths, 15 18ths, and 35 42nds. And one of the fractions is not equivalent to 5/6, and we need to write down which fraction. So let's cancel them all down and see which one does not equal 5/6. Okay, so let's start off with 50 60ths. They're both divisible by 10, so that would give us 50 divided by 10 is equal to 5, and 60 divided by 10 is equal to 6. So that's 5/6, so that's great. 28 36, so 28 36. They're both divisible by 2. Let's half them to begin with. That's going to give us 14 18ths. And then we can divide by 2 again. That's going to be 7 9ths. So that's 7 9ths. So that one's not equivalent to 5/6. And then just to check, these numbers are both divisible by 3. So 15 18ths. We can divide both of them by 3, and that would give us 5/6. So that one's equal to 5/6. And 35 42nds, so 35 42nds. They're both divisible by 7. We can divide both of these numbers by 7. 35 divided by 7 is equal to 5, and 42 divided by 7 is equal to 6. So that's 5/6 as well. So the fraction that's not equivalent to 5/6 is 28 36, because that one's equal to 7 9ths. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 19. So question number 19 says, what fraction of the shape is shaded? So we've got this shape, and we've been asked what fraction of this shape is shaded. So as you can see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares, and each of those squares is cut into 4 triangles, and 6 times 4 is 24. So that means there must be 24 little triangles, and you can count them. 1 2 3 4, and another 4 would be 8, another 4 would be 12, another 4 would be 16, another 4 would be 20, and another 4 would be 24. So there's 24 little triangles, and 1 2 3 4 5 6 of them are shaded, so 6 out of 24. And both of those numbers are divisible by 6, so if we do 6 divided by 6, that's equal to 1, and 24 divided by 6 is equal to 4, so a quarter of that shape is shaded, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 20. So question number 20 says, write the fraction 21 84ths in its simplest form, so we need to cancel it down. Now 21 and 84, actually you may notice that both of those numbers are actually divisible by 21, because you've got 21 and then 42, 63, 84. So that's one way you can do it. Or another way is to actually spot they're both in the 7 times tables, and if you know your 7 times tables, you'll spot that 3 times 7 is 21 and 12 times 7 is 84. If we divide both of them by 7, we're going to get 21 divided by 7 is 3, and 84 divided by 7 is 12, so we've got 3 12ths. And then both of those numbers are divisible by 3, so that would be 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 12 divided by 3 is 4, so that's a quarter. Or as I mentioned, that you may spot they're both in the 21 times tables, but if you don't, you can divide them both by 7 to begin with, and then divide them both by 3. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 21. So question number 21 says, write the fraction 75 165ths in its simplest form. Now both of these numbers end in a 5, that means they're both divisible by 5. So let's divide both of these numbers by 5 to begin with. So 75 divided by 5, and I'm going to use the Bush-Shelton method here. How many 5s go into 7? 1 remainder 2. And how many 5s go into 25? That's 5. So if we had 75 over 165, if we divide that by 5, we'd get 15. And let's now divide the denominator by 5 as well. 165 divided by 5. How many 5s go into 1? 0 remainder 1. How many 5s go into 16? That'll be 3 remainder 1. And how many 5s go into 15? That would be 3. So that's 33. So we've got 15 33rds. Now, both of these numbers are divisible by 3. They're both in the 3 times tables. 15 divided by 3 is 5. And 33 divided by 3 is 11. So it'll be 5 11ths. And that's it. So we've been asked to cancel down the fraction 75 over 165. The answer would be 5 11ths. And that's it. Okay, let's have a look at our next question, question number 22. So question number 22 says, write the fraction 42 over 70 in its simplest form. So we need to cancel down this fraction, 42 over 70. Now, actually, we've got 42 over 70. I'm just going to start off by halving them both. They're both divisible by 2. So 42 divided by 2 is 21. And 70 divided by 2, half of that would be 35. We've now got 21 over 35. If we have a look here, both of those numbers are divisible by 7. They're both in the 7 times tables. 21 divided by 7 would be equal to 3. And 35 divided by 7 is equal to 5. So that's 3/5. So 3/5. So we've been asked to cancel down the fraction 42 70ths. The answer would be 3/5. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 23. Now, question number 23 is a calculator question, and it's quite useful to be able to know how to use your calculator to cancel down fractions. And there's a fraction button on your calculator, and if you just press the fraction button, and then you can just type in 864 in the numerator, and then type in 924 in the denominator, and press equals, and your calculator will cancel that down for you. So if you press the fraction button and type in 864 in the numerator, and then press down and press 924 in the denominator, and then press equals, your calculator should then tell you what that is as a simplified fraction, and the answer would be 72 over 77. And that's it. So all you need to do is type that into your calculator. If you've got a scientific calculator, you can just type that in, press the fraction button. And if you need to know where the fraction button is, you can just go and ask your teacher where the fraction button is. Or you may notice on your calculator you've got a little line, and then you've got a shaded in box on the top, and then a hollow rectangle below, like so. And that's what mine looks like on my calculator. And if you press that, then you can just type in the fraction and then press equals, and you'll get 72 over 77. So 72 77s. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 24. So question number 24 says, of 500 people, 100 wear glasses. And then we've been asked to write down the number of people who do not wear glasses as a fraction of the total number of people, and to give our answer in its simplest form. So we want to write the number of people who don't wear glasses as a fraction of the total. So we want to write it as a fraction. So we want to write down what fraction of people don't wear glasses. So there's 500 people and 100 wear glasses. So if we take away 100, that's equal to 400. So that means that 400 of them don't wear glasses, because if 100 wear glasses, 400 don't wear glasses, don't wear glasses. And we've been asked to write the number of people who don't wear glasses as a fraction of the total. So it's going to be 400 out of 500. And then if we divide both of these by 100, 400 divided by 100 is equal to 4, and 500 divided by 100 is equal to 5. So 4/5 of the people do not wear glasses, and 1/5 do. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 25. So question number 25 says there's 500 pupils at a primary school, and of the 400 pupils, 88 play a musical instrument. And we've been asked to express the number of people who play an instrument as a fraction of the 400 pupils. Give your answer in its simplest form. So there's 400 pupils altogether, and 88 of them play a musical instrument. So that means that 88 400ths of them play musical instruments. And then we just need to cancel this down. That's a non-calculator question, so we're going to need to cancel that down without a calculator. Now, in terms of this, we could actually spot that both of these numbers are divisible by 8, but I'm actually going to start off by dividing both by 4, because that's what I've noticed to begin with. 88 divided by 4 would be 22, and you could use the bus shelter there if you wanted to. And 400 divided by 4 would be 100. So we've now got 22 100ths. They're both even, so let's half them both. So that'll be 11 50ths. So 11 50ths of the pupils play a musical instrument in that school. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 26. Okay, so question number 26 is express 50p as a fraction of £4, and to give our answer in its simplest form. Now here we've got pence and pounds. I'm going to change the £4 into 400 pence, so 400 pence. So it's 50p out of 400p, so 50 out of 400. And now we just need to cancel this down. They're both divisible by 10 because they both end in zeros. So 50 divided by 10 is equal to 5, and 400 divided by 10 is equal to 40. Now both of these numbers are divisible by 5, so if we divide both the numerator and denominator by 5, that will give us 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 40 divided by 5 is equal to 8. So that's 1/8. So 50p as a fraction of £4 is 1/8. And you can check that if you've 8 50p's, that's equal to £4. So that's right. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 27. So question number 27 says, in a bag there's 80 beads altogether, 35 are yellow, 17 are red, and the rest are white. And the question says, what fraction of the beads are white? So let's work out how many white beads there are. So we've got yellow, we've got red, and we've got white. So let's add together the 35 and 17, because if we do that, we can work out how many red and yellow beads there are altogether. So 5 plus 7 is equal to 12. Put a 2 down and carry a 1. 3 plus 1 plus 1 is equal to 5. So that means there's 52 yellow and red beads altogether. And the rest are white. So let's do 80 take away 52. So 0 take away 2, we're going to borrow. So that's now a 7 and a 10. 10 take away 2 is 8. And 7 take away 5 is equal to 2. So that means there's 28 white beads. And we've been asked to write down what fraction of the beads are white. So there's 80 altogether. So it's 80 on the denominator. And 28 are white. So it's going to be, I'm just going to write that again. So it's going to be 28 80ths. And now we've been asked to cancel it down. They're both divisible by 4. We can divide both the numerator and denominator by 4 here. 28 divided by 4 is equal to 7. And 80 divided by 4 is equal to 20. So it's going to be 7 20ths. And that's it. That's cancelled down as simply as we can. And that's it. Okay, so question number 28 says the cost of a table last year was £180, and this year the cost of the same table is £210. And we've been asked to write down the increase in cost as a fraction of last year's cost. So let's find out the increase. So we've got 210 take away 180. So if we've got 210 and we take away 180, that'll be equal to 30, because 210 is 30 more than 180. And I think with a question like that, you should be able to work that out in your head, that 210 take away 180 is equal to 30. You could, if you wanted to, use column subtraction and write 210 take away 180 and do it like so, and do 0 take away 0, 0. 1 take away 8 would borrow, so that'll be 11 take away 8 is 3, and 1 take away 1 is equal to 0, so it's £30. So the increase in cost, that's £30, it's a fraction of last year's cost, which was 180. So it's going to be 30 out of 180. And we just need to cancel that down. They're both divisible by 10. So if we divide both the numerator and denominator by 10, we get 3/18. And they're both divisible by 3. So that'll be 3 divided by 3 is 1. And 18 divided by 3 is 6. So it'll be 1/6. And that's it. Okay, let's look at our next question, question number 29. So we're told that 4 students attempt a puzzle, and the times are shown below. So we've got Abigail, it took her 17.5 minutes. Dave, it took him a quarter of an hour. Nia, it took her 850 seconds. And Patrick, it took him 16 minutes. And we've been asked to work out the fraction of the shortest time over the longest time, and to give our answer in its simplest form. Now the first thing is, I actually can't spot the shortest time and the longest time straight away here, because I want to actually convert them all to the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change them all into seconds, because it's a calculator question, so we can do that on our calculator. So 17.5 minutes, well, to change from minutes into seconds, we times by 60, because there's 60 seconds in every minute. So if we do 17.5 times 60, that's equal to 1050 seconds. You could, if you wanted to, do 17 times 60 and then add on an extra 30 seconds, because half a minute is 30 seconds. But I would actually just take our 17.5 and times it by 60. A quarter of an hour, well, that's 15 minutes, but we want it in seconds, so we're going to do 15 times 60, because there's 60 seconds in a minute, so it's equal to 900. We've got 850 seconds, and then finally 16 minutes, so 16 times 60, so 16 times 60, and that was 17.5 times 60 up there. 16 times 60 is equal to 960. So we've now got all the times in seconds. We can actually spot now the shortest time, which is this one here, and the longest time, which is this one here. And we've been asked to write it as a fraction, so it's going to be the numerator is 850, the shortest time taken, and the denominator is the longest time taken, which is 1050. So we've now got 850 over 1050. We can just cancel this down. So if we divide both, actually it's a calculator question, so we can actually just type this into our calculator. We can actually type in the numerator 850, type in the denominator 1050, and press equals. And that gives us as a fraction an answer of 17 over 21. So that's it. The answer would be, in its simplest form, 17/21, or 20/1, and that's it. Okay, let's look at our last question. Okay, so question number 30 says, Isla is 1.04 metres tall and Catherine is 80 centimetres tall. And the question says, write down Isla's height as a fraction of Catherine's height, and to give our answer in its simplest form. And again, it's a calculator question. Now, the first thing I notice here is we've got metres and centimetres, so I'm going to change them both into centimetres. So Catherine's 80 centimetres, that's fine. Isla, she's 1.04 metres. Now a metre is 100 centimetres, so this would be 104 centimetres, because it's 4 centimetres more. Or you could times by 100, so that'll be 104 centimetres. So we've got Isla's height and we've got Catherine's height. Well, we want to write Isla's height as a fraction of Catherine's height, because there's a fraction of Catherine's height. Catherine's height is going to go in the denominator, so that's 80. And then Isla's height is going to go in the numerator, because Isla's height as a fraction of Catherine's height. So that's going to be 104 on the numerator. So this is a top-heavy fraction. And again, it's a calculator question, so if you just get your calculator and type in 104, the fraction button, and then type 80 on the denominator, and then press equals, and then get it as a fraction, that's equal to 13 tenths. So the answer is equal to 13 tenths, and that's in its simplest form. And that's it. So that's our answer, 13 tenths. And that's it. And that's it. So these have been the video solutions to the Corbettmaths practice questions on fractions, and they were questions involving simplifying fractions, equivalent fractions, fractions of shapes, and expressing as a fraction. And I really hope you found this video useful. If you need any extra help on fractions, you've got the video tutorials on Corbettmaths. Also, I'll put a link on the end of the video for some fraction videos for you to click on and try and watch if you want to, Corbettmaths videos that might help you. And also, if you found this video useful, please like it and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'll put a link at the end of the video for you to subscribe. So if you want to subscribe to Corbettmaths, there's a little link at the end of the video, and if you subscribe, that'll be fantastic. So thanks so much. Cheers. Bye.